like, if you hear me playing acoustic guitar in the last 10 years on a record, it's that. And it's just recorded with the U-47 through a Listen Grove.
This is my favorite bit. Dessner and Dessner, ladies and gentlemen, right there.
Each channel has a volume fader and then a gain wheel. If you play the guitar direct into the board and pull the volume fader down and turn the gain wheel up, it distorts in the most beautiful way.
I've actually got a question for you, Aaron Dessner. What compression do you use on your guitar? He uses the same guitar basically across the whole record acoustically. It's J45. What year is it?
It's a 1965 J45 that's just been this. I have this amazing collaborator at Chicago Music Exchange who helps me find special instruments that are maybe a little beat up so they don't cost $1 million, but they have like exactly what you want out of a J45. So this one's just really special. It's pretty much the guitar of, like, if you hear me playing acoustic guitar in the last 10 years on a record, it's that. And it's just recorded with the U-47 through a Listen Grove, through a 1064 Neve and a Listen Grove compressor, which is basically an EMI clone that I've had for years, and in the ISO booth at Long Pond, and it just really feels like you can touch it. It's just a beautiful.
And then you're
sound.
playing it like Jerry Garcia because you're playing really hard.
Oh yeah, this is like a long-term fascination of mine. Is like the live recording of the Grateful Dead album Reckoning, which was 1980 at Radio City Music Hall, and they're playing acoustically. And Jerry Garcia, he would pick really hard when he would play acoustic guitar, and it's just like, and there's lots of bootlegs of this, especially when he played with David Grisman. Sorry if I'm going into Deadhead territory, but so it's just like a joke amongst friends of mine. It's like that I'm always trying to emulate like that, where I'm playing a little bit too hard on an acoustic guitar, but I kind of like how it sounds. So.
All right.
Then change and die.
This is the guitar.
Yeah. And then there's a little Mando guitar thing too going on, and then some electrics. And here's the bass. And there's a little bit of percussion snaps. And then some organs and pianos. And that was one take on his guitar. So we had to build the whole thing around a time change that didn't happen on a grid. So it was a nightmare, but it was the right tempo.
Yeah.
It was he just played it right. So we had to build everything else around that.
This episode is being supported by Tape It, the iPhone app made specifically for musicians. If you, like many of our guests, use voice memos, then switching to Tape It is an obvious choice. And now, Tape It has layering. This means you can record over your voice notes, try out top lines, stack harmonies, build up instruments, jam with yourself, and so much more. Layering is such an exciting addition to Tape It's long list of features to help you stay creative and organized, including the ability to record straight from your lock screen, set markers, add notes, and add photos of settings. You can easily import your old voice notes, sync to the cloud, and create shared playlists with co-writers and bandmates. So, head to the link below to install Tape It and use the promo code TAPENOTES to receive a whopping 20% off Tape It Pro. And now, back to the episode.
This is my favorite bit. Dessner and Dessner, ladies and gentlemen, right there.
With those kinds of things, like I don't feel super, I don't typically volunteer to play soloistic things. It's more just like it's kind of fun to like drink a beer, just like when no one's watching, see what you can find. But if people are in the room, it's like you get self-conscious because there's so much better guitar players or instrumentalists. But it's fun. And like this one, I feel like I got lucky or something, pulled it off. And you guys let me
You
hang
stuck
out
the landing.
Another interesting question comes from Michael Ehlers, and it's directed at Aaron. The solo guitar on Eucalyptus from the Frankenstein album is the best sounding guitar in recent years. Michael says, do you have any advice on recording electric guitars, amps, pedals, plugins? Do you have preferences?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's maybe not the easiest advice to emulate or take, but I pretty much these days only play electric guitar through. And thank you, by the way. That was really fun to play that solo. It was another like every national guitar solo is sort of an accident, and that one was also. But I have this old board from 1965 it's Siemens WSW solid state board that is the circuitry is what the Neve A series stuff is based on that came later. And there's a volume, each channel has a volume fader and then a gain wheel. If you pull just like an amplifier, if you play the guitar direct into the board and pull the volume fader down and turn the gain wheel up, it distorts in the most beautiful way. And particularly if you're playing like a vintage, I mean, in my mind anyways, I was playing, I have a lot of guitars from like the early and mid 1960s, and I play them through that board and distort the hell out of it, and it just sounds great. And then a lot of times I just put Black Spring, the cheap Pro Tools spring reverb, on there at like 25%, and that's like my sound. And like I think because I get frustrated with how long it takes to set up an amp and mic it properly and work through pedals. So I just don't use pedals, and I just play directly into the board, and that's worked really well. And it sounds to me better. It sounds better. But then sometimes if someone else has a setup going or I'm somewhere else, it's fun to play through amplifiers.
Yeah.
But I sort of stopped doing that a while ago.
Really interesting. Right, Prize Fighters, the next song we're going to look at.
It also, I don't know if it's also,
Ben.
sorry, Jen.
Sorry.
For you, Aaron, it also means that you get to remain in the driving seat when you're producing things. If you're sat playing guitar at the board next to the computer, it means that you don't have to like go into a booth or go into Ampland and get distracted from those things. You get to sort of remain in the driving seat with a bird's eye view of the whole song that you're making. And just, I think geographically it makes a difference that you play. And of course, the sound you get, like his Firebird through his desk, doesn't sound like anyone else. It just sounds like Aaron Dessner, which is rad.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that is a good point. I think it's really nice. That's the nice part with Long Pond. There's no control room, just like where you are now. And I think it's nice to be all together where you're not in that fishbowl experience with a big glass window looking in at musicians doing things, and you can't easily communicate even with a talkback. So we try to do things where you're really sitting in the speaker field. And if you're using something there's an ISO booth, then we use tie lines, and it can all work however you want it to work. But generally, like, or a lot of the synths and other organs and things that Ben played were all also done mostly direct. And then like same thing with if Ted was playing electric bass in particular, he'd often just sit in the speaker field, play directly into that board, and we can distort it a little bit, or we can boost it. The PQs are really beautiful.